Not there to shoot the basketball, but they need to get that. Last year was their problem. What was that?
Lou Williams looking at him like, grab the ball, young man.
In the National Basketball Association, there is no doubt that the stakes are high and pressure is even greater. Performance on the court can alter a player's career and ultimately their life. That being said, basketball players practice to make sure they're ready for every scenario during a game. But what happens when things go another way, but they still make the point? That is why we are breaking down the craziest accidental shots in the NBA. Number 10, Evan Turner. Evan Turner has been a major force in the NBA. He was initially selected number 2 in the 2010 draft by the Philadelphia 76ers. Since then, he has turned out to be quite the asset. That being said, during one major NBA game between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Atlanta Hawks, Evan Turner made a sudden shot that even he was surprised by. After receiving a pass by his teammate, he takes the basketball and just sort of lobs it in, given his positioning on the court. Miraculously, he sinks the ball and scores 3 points. The shot had the entire 76ers bench laughing. Even he started to crack up at the moment he started back down court. Not only that, but even some of the players on the other team are looking like, what just happened? Number 8, Roy Hibbert. In the NBA, there is definitely a lot of team effort out there. That being said, there are also definitely star players who are meant to make the plays and score points. The rest of their teammates really play to assist them. Hibbert is one of those players. Still, he's a major defensive force. In fact, in the 2013-2014 season, Hibbert was runner-up for the Defensive Player of the NBA award. Still, every once in a while everyone on the team is forced to make the shot. During a game between the Hornets and the Trailblazers, Roy Hibbert got the ball and did something that surprised everyone. He went to put the ball up for his teammate to dunk it in. Instead, the ball went right into the basket and he won 3 points. Everyone was surprised, including himself, as he jogged back down court. Number 7, Larry Nance Jr. This is one of those accidental shots on the list that the players shouldn't be proud of. During an NBA Christmas special game, the Lakers faced off against the Clippers when Nance Jr. did something he'd immediately regret. The Clippers went for a long 3 points and just missed. The ball bounced off the rim and came back. But just as it flew back, Nance decided he'd grab hold and for some reason toss it back towards his own basket. Of course, it seems clear he's trying to get the ball back towards his teammates, but he goes a bit too far and winds up scoring on himself. The audience explodes into laughter while his teammates stand there absolutely shocked at his mistake. It was definitely not Nance's proudest moment in the NBA, as he definitely wouldn't be living this one down for quite some time. Number 6, Manu Ginobili. This definitely isn't the first time that Spurs player Ginobili sunk a 3-pointer by accident. Manu had been fouled and was positioned to take his free throws. While free throws give teams points, often it's almost strategically better to miss them. Getting your teammate the rebound can often lead to even more points. That being said, Manu was trying to miss his free throw in a game against the Portland Trailblazers. Of course, he threw the ball a little too hard and a little too fast. Manu is definitely the king of making accidental shots, and in this case, he makes quite a strange one. When he throws the ball, it almost gets stuck between the backboard and the hoop, and somehow goes in. Manu can't help but laugh at his luck. Meanwhile, his entire team sinks down onto the benches in disappointment. Number 5, Manu Ginobili again. This point happened to work in Manu's favor, but still, it was definitely an accident. Manu is one of those supporting players who doesn't often go up for huge points. Still, when he went to pass to his teammate, he accidentally threw a bit too hard. In a game against the New York Knicks, Manu tries to set up his Spurs teammate. Instead, his obvious lob goes straight up into the basket. The entire crowd is stunned by the sight. Manu tries to play it off casually like it was all intended. What's even more crazy is having seen Manu lob the ball in, the officials don't even score the point at first. Moments after continuing to play, Manu points this out and the refs pause the game to discuss. Greg Popovich, now president of the Spurs, can't help but laugh at the entire thing. It's crazy they didn't even count the 3 points. Manu himself was surprised he was behind the arc, which would count for 3. This may be the last time you hear Manu on our list, but he's definitely still out there scoring accidentally. In fact, these days he's playing for Team Argentina, but has retired from the NBA as of August of 2018. Number 4, Marcin Gortat. In a match between the Washington Wizards and the Toronto Raptors, one Wizards player accidentally tips the ball in favor of the Raptors player and scores on himself. Marcin goes to block the ball, but just as he tries to stuff his opponent, he accidentally hits the ball with the side of his hand. There is enough force behind his mistake that the ball flies up and actually goes into the basket. It's obvious the Raptors player wasn't even going to make the shot in the first place. With Gortat's help though, he manages to make it in. The commentators can only laugh while Gortat shakes off his mistake. There's no doubt that Gortat's face just says it all. He can't help but chuckle a bit to himself, but his team is definitely not happy. Number 3, Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has made major waves in the NBA for his incredible performance and scoring power. During one game, he made a somewhat accidental point, but we couldn't help ourselves but include it on this list. Westbrook was set up to dunk the ball by his Oklahoma City Thunder teammate. Just as he goes up, he doesn't quite make it and ends up slamming the ball against the rim. Still, he does it with enough force that something pretty insane happens. All of the players on the court look up as the ball launches into the air, but then it comes straight down and swoosh. The ball goes straight through the basket and Westbrook scores. The point is pretty impressive and leaves a huge smile across Westbrook's face, along with his teammates. Commentators soon after call Westbrook the greatest point guard to play the game of basketball. Number 2, Matt Barnes. Barnes has always been a pretty accomplished player, which makes this flub pretty embarrassing. The Los Angeles Lakers player was initially drafted number 2 in the 2002 draft by the Memphis Grizzlies. He has since retired from the game of basketball, but he won't be living this mistake down anytime soon. During a game against the Los Angeles Clippers, Barnes ends up catching a rebound, and while he only lightly touches it and tries to tip it to himself, he ends up hitting the ball into his own basket. While the team runs back down court, he can't help himself but just pause and let the mistake sink in. The high-def cameras in the Lakers' famous Staples Center were perfect for capturing the defeat on his face. Luckily, Barnes would go on to play some pretty impressive basketball, so fans are willing to let this one go. But still, it's just one of those things he may never forget. Number 1, Rasheed Wallace. In the NBA, there are all kinds of tough fans. Any good die-hard fan will go all out for their team, but the Boston crowd for the Celtics takes that to a whole other level. When Rasheed Wallace made this mistake, you could practically hear the crowd's blood boiling. He definitely knew he had screwed up. During a game against the Chicago Bulls, Wallace makes a mistake so bad it looks like he's playing for the other team. Miller goes up for 3 points, misses. Wallace grabs the rebound, jumps up, and scores on himself. It's actually pretty hilarious to watch if you're not from Boston, of course. Wallace just barely tipped the ball in after trying to pass to himself. When he lands, he just hangs his head in defeat. In such a massively close game at 68-71 Bulls, and such an important game at that, Wallace looks absolutely destroyed. Well, that is until you see his coach. In a beautiful zoom on the coach, it looks like he's literally about to cry. The points go to the nearest Bulls player at the time of the mistake, and basketball doesn't get any better than this. Did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments below which player you think has the biggest accidental shot of all time. We want to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new video uploads. This has been our breakdown of the craziest accidental shots in the NBA. Have a good one.